Once again, on this third segment, it is JN Fiend, Jeremy Phoenix. I'm here with Brandon Phoenix. His name is I Also Hate Pitt, but you already know that. And we're talking about something today, right now, that's called Know Your Mountaineers. Now, what's that mean? How many times have you been at the stadium, early games, somebody runs onto the field or makes a play, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, who is that? You turn to the guy next to you. Hey, who was number, whatever the number is, who just made that play? Now you're searching. Now you're looking on your phone. Now you have the program like, who is this guy? And it's frustrating and it's irritating. So what we're going to do here as Raspy Voice Kids on this Hail West Virginia podcast, we're going to educate you so you can know your Mountaineers. And we're starting with the quarterbacks and receivers. So when you see the number, you'll know who it is. You don't have to flip through your program. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's my dude. Oh, yeah, that's my recruit. Because that's what happens. These recruits, we've heard about them for a long time. But in the early games, the first time we've ever seen them actually play for a lot of us. Or maybe they played last year, and this year they decided to switch the number up. Like it was an NCAA football game. They felt like they got a little more fresh, a different number, a different year. But it's important for us to know who we're looking at and know who we're supporting. So we're going to start with the quarterbacks, Brandon. We're going to start. Go ahead.
We'll start with Mountain Grier. Willie G, number 7. The Heisman candidate. Grier for Heisman. The campaign has been launched. If you don't know him, then you're not a Mountaineer fan. That's the bottom line.
Number 7, like I feel like we should just skip this one because everybody knows who Mountain Grier is. But he is number 7. This dude had an amazing year last year. Not amazing year, but before he went down,
no, it was an amazing year. It really was. I mean, he threw for 3,400 yards. I mean, the guy really, really had a great year. We're used to it because of the numbers that people put up in Dana's offense. But for the average quarterback, he had a great year.
But think about it. When he went down, he had 3,400 yards. Through 3,490 was the actual number. And he was third nationally at the time. Before he went down, he threw 34 touchdowns. At the time, that was second in the country. So this dude was balling out. We know his potential. We know how special he is. We know that he went 7-3. And granted, when he got hurt, we ended up 7-6. But obviously, for this year, there's a lot of up. There's a lot of bright side. He broke his finger. You listen to the coach, that doesn't seem to be the problem. They're pumping up for Heisman. You listen to Holgorsen talk. He looks good throwing the ball during camp. So we have every reason to be as excited as we are, and people are hyping him up, and people are talking about him all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's worth the hype, though.
Vegas is, ESPN is, Fox Sports, Joel Klatt. It's not like we're just being homers. It's not like we're just being excited. The nation has taken notice of who and what Will Grier is. And it's a credit not just to Will, but also to Jake Spavital, also to Dana Holgorsen. So the talent combined with the scheme and also our receivers means that they believe in throw it up you. And we believe in throw it up you as well. Which
so what do you expect? I mean, no, but real quick, what do you really expect from him this year?
He's going to throw. How great he was last year? I can't imagine him throwing for less than 4,000 yards because he threw for 3,400 and he missed 3 games or, almost 3 games, right? So He's going to throw for 4,000 yards. He's going to throw 40 touchdowns. And all of this, of course, is if he's healthy. I personally think as we get to the receivers, I don't think David Sills is going to have the year that he had last year. I don't think Gary Jennings is going to have the year that he had last year.
Yeah, and we'll get to the receivers.
We'll get to that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I think Will, the thing that I think will improve on is that I think he'll be more efficient. I think he's going to take the first down on 3rd and 6 instead of trying to get a touchdown on 3rd and 6.
Do you think? Now, here's a real question: are we going to see him in New York?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see our first Mountaineer for a Heisman ceremony. I really do.
Now you're saying just like being there for the ceremony means you make the top 3 or 4. Are you saying I think he's going to win it?
I think there's no question he'll be top 3, and I think he's got a real good shot at winning it because people say that you can't win it unless we win, but Lamar Jackson did it, with 3 or 4 losses, wasn't it? Did they go 9-3? Was it?
But you know what I said about that? That year, the big boys, the big college teams, the first, top 3 teams didn't have a player who was balling out of control.
But Lamar Jackson didn't have the hype that Will Grier's been getting.
This is true.
I think that's a significant difference. I also think that Will Grier is known throughout college football because of his family. I mean, his father is a coach who is connected. His brothers being megastars, which makes a difference. People know him and they know his story, and his story is a comeback story regardless of how you feel about it. I think all of those things come to play on top of his actual legitimate talent, on top of the numbers that he put up last year and that he'll put up this year, on top of the fact that we have a good shot at being a really good football team. I think Will Grier will be a finalist, at least.
I agree wholeheartedly. And if he doesn't, I mean, call it what you feel. You Mountaineer fans expect too much, whatever. I expect him to be sitting in a suit in New York, fingers crossed, watching the Heisman ceremony from the first row
with Dana and Chad and Gene right there with him.
Absolutely. So that's number 7. Remember that number 7. We don't need to say this. Number 7, Will Grier.
Remember that 7.
On to the backups. Last year we had Chugs. Chugs has since moved on. Now we have number 17. Once again, let's flash that. Number 17, Jack Allison, the transfer from Miami, the 6'6" man, strong arm. He comes in, he was a 4-star recruit out of high school. How am I forgetting his name? Our offense coordinator, Spav. Spav was talking about him, talking about how he had a strong arm, how he looks good. He still needs to be a little bit more polished. But let's say the unfortunate happens. Let's say the unfortunate happens to Will Grier. When you see that number 17 run onto the field, you're looking at Jack Allison.
Yeah, you're not just looking at Jack Allison. You're looking at Jack Allison, last year's scout team MVP. Now, you might say, what difference does that make? He was a scout team MVP, big deal. Offensively. Well, who was the scout team MVP before him, Jeremy? Will Grier. Will Grier. Will Grier was a scout team MVP. It translates onto the field because the coaches see what they want to see out of a player who has the potential. Jack Allison has the frame, he has the talent to lead an offense the way we want an offense led. Chris Chugginoff was a hard worker. There were a lot of good things about him. He knew the system, but he did not have the tools that Jack Allison has. If Will goes down again, I don't believe we're in trouble. People will tell you that Jack Allison hasn't seen any significant playing time, but he knows the offense, and our offense is built for success from the quarterback position. It made a guy like Skyler, who was not recruited out of high school to any Division I programs, into the second all-time touchdown thrower. That was a very eloquently stated sentence on my part. But in the history of West Virginia football. And then you get this guy, 6'6", prototypical quarterback in Jack Allison, who spent a year in the system with Scout Team MVP.
He looks the look. He really does.
We don't have anything to worry about if he comes in. I'm not telling you he's Will Grier. He's not.
So,
but we're in good hands when 17 steps on the field.
So if number 7 Will Grier goes down, then you could see number 17 Jack Allison, the Miami transfer, or you could see number 10. Flash that. Number 10, Trey Lowe. The freshman phenom. People are talking about Trey Lowe. Trey Lowe can scramble. He can throw. We know all kinds of teams were recruiting him. He's in Morgantown now, and Spav said there's no clear-cut number 2. So it may be number 17, Jack Allison, but it also could be a more versatile Trey Lowe who comes in. What you know about Trey Lowe?
Trey Lowe is a 6'2", 212-pound kid who is a dual-threat type quarterback. Not saying that's what he's a go-to, but that's what he can do. The other thing that I really like about Trey Lowe personally is he's a two-sport athlete. He's a baseball player and he's a football player. Something like Kyler Murray, of course, not quite at that caliber yet. But I like guys who are able to have skills that translate from one place to another. One, it shows hard work and dedication. It also shows intangibles. And Trey Lowe's that kind of a guy. And for us to steal him from Tennessee, especially since we're going to be playing Tennessee, GBO, we all know. That said, GBDO. That said, Woodrow Trello, I like that we got him, and I like that we have that kind of quarterback. I always prefer dual threat quarterback in college, personally. Will is not somebody that people classify as a dual threat, but he can get out and move. We all remember the hurdle against Virginia Tech. And Trello has those kinds of skills. The disadvantage he has is being a freshman and learning the offense, learning where the ball's supposed to go and when, learning what to call, when to call, how to call. Jack Allison has the advantage that way, and Jack Allison has the advantage as far as physical prototype is concerned. But I think we're in good hands either way. I really do. I prefer Allison from the experience standpoint. I want a guy who can just plug and play. But I like that Trello offers you a different look. You remember what happened to us last year when we played Baylor? Their quarterback gets pulled, the backup comes in. Suddenly our defense is not ready. It's not prepared to play a guy who's running all the time, right?
It's true. It's true.
And I think that that's the kind of situation that defenses could find themselves in if, for whatever reason, whatever terrible reason, Trello came in instead of Will Grier or Jack Allison.
Yep. So what we're trying to say is whether you have number 7, which we all know about number 7, or you have number 17 Jack Allison, or number 10 Trello, we feel like we're very solid in the quarterback area, even if Willie G goes down, Mountain Grier goes down. Yeah. And before we transition to the receivers, I'm gonna just get swelled a little bit with the walk the dog. I love it.
I'm walking the dog too, my friend. That's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, are you? That's the one I picked, man.
Yeah, walk the
got
dog.
So many different flavors.
Rose is actually my favorite, but I love walk the dog. I love the other thing I love is I'm trying to get right. Okay, I'm trying to get right. So this 1 gram of sugar, that's really. I need that in my life. Trying to get that D5G grind on. Hey.